Moving on, Union Minister Suresh Gopi has promised to solve the issue of Munamban, but in the process labelled the Waqf Board in Kerala as barbaric. He has pledged that the union government would work to disband, and Congress has lodged a complaint over the comment accusing him, of inciting religious tensions. At the centre of this entire controversy is a 123-year-old dispute over a 404-acre land in Munamban. It's a village near Kochi. The Waqf Board claims that in fact, these claims have led to 610 families who live in this area towards an uncertain future. So, from Kerala to Karnataka, the Waqf claims have caused a huge problem for these residents. Before we, in fact, go into this debate, let's quickly take a look at this entire dispute. All right, I'm going to go over to the big screen and show you what exactly is happening over here. What is this dispute about and why is it making such headlines, and why is it very, very inconvenient for these families to, in fact, move bag and baggage right now? Okay, this is something which started 123 years ago in the year 1902. The landowner by King of Travancore was Rama Varma, and he was the original owner of this land, which is in contention at this point in time. The ownership was transferred to Kuchi Memon, Abdul Sattar and Musa Haji, and this is how it has been over the last few years, and that's exactly why we're talking about this problem, because there seems to be some sort of a confusion as to why this is being done at this point in time. In 1950, Sattar Seth's son-in-law, Muhammad Seth, gave this land to the Farooq College, which is the building that you see on the screen. In 1962, a legal dispute began when residents filed a case in the Paravur sub-court, alleging that this land belonged to them and should be handed over to them. And it continued till 1975 in Kerala High Court, which ruled that and recognized the land as a gift given to the Farooq College, and it was left at that in 1975. But then again, moving on in 1988, the Farooq College transferred the land to the Waqf Board for rupees 33 lakhs. The legality of this, which still can be questioned, as the Waqf Board, of course, and their entire role in this is still suspect. In 2008, the government's M.A. Nisar committee concluded that the land, in fact, should be given and be made a Waqf property. Remember, the Waqf owns numerous lands over the country. In 2019, the disputed land was listed in the Waqf Board's asset register as well, which means that they can do with it as they please. And of course, this is something which is being contended at this point in time. In 2022, the residents told that they cannot pay land tax on their properties because the property does not belong to them. It's as simple as that. And of course, in 2024, up till recently, 610 families are being forced to vacate the land that they illegally purchased. Okay, so this is the entire scenario that we're dealing with at this point in time. But, the Waqf scenario, the Waqf problem has been going on for a long time. The central government has also acknowledged it. They've also gone on to say there has been this indiscriminate way of dealing with the Waqf property, and it needs to be streamlined. It needs to be consolidated. Anil K. Anthony, National Secretary of the Bharatiya Janata Party, with us on the program. Mr. Mithun Vijay Kumar, political analyst, also joins us on the show. Mr. Athar Zia, Empire Media panelist, also joins us on the program. Anil, I'll begin with you. How do you look at this entire trail? Of course, there is a history behind what happened at this particular piece of land. But, not in Kerala alone. Okay, let's stick to Kerala. In Kerala alone, there will be a number of properties which will be under contention and will have a similar background when it comes to the Waqf Board staking claim. Anil, what are your thoughts on this?
Thank you. So I'm not going to go through the trail, but at the same time, one thing which I can very confidently say is that this is not a very isolated case. This case in Munambam, where almost 600 fishermen families in the beach who had purchased land legally from different quarters and had developed it over a period of long time. Now the Waqf Board in Kerala are claiming rights to that. There has been another issue that has come up just yesterday, which is in northern Kerala in Kannur, where in one of the towns in Payyanur in Kerala also, there is a similar issue regarding another 1,000 acres. And as far as we know that there have been multiple instances in Karnataka, in Andhra Pradesh, etc., where the same thing is happening. And the issue with all this is whenever the Waqf Board, with the current act, whenever the Waqf Board actually claims a land, the onus is on the other side to prove that the land actually belongs to them and not the Waqf Board. And this is misused quite a lot in a very exploitatory manner. And it is taking all this into consideration that our Honorable Prime Minister and our Union government decided to amend it. The cabinet has passed it. It has gone to the JPC now. And all this is done to ensure that people like this are not exploited. Like, for example, in the beach in Munambam, it's 600 fishermen families. They are very financially underprivileged people. And these are the kind of people who, irrespective of their caste and religion, etc., they are suffering everywhere. And we want to ensure that people get their constitutionally guaranteed rights of right to own property and right to live in dignity. And this is why the Waqf Amendment Bill is now being moved very seriously by the government. And in Kerala, it's a rare case where you have the left and the Congress, the CPM and the Congress party, the two poles in Kerala, but they are the same alliance in the national stage. And in Kerala, these kind of issues are getting protection from both the left and the Congress as far as the Waqf Board is concerned, because they both are trying to appease the same set of minorities for their vote bank politics. So these kind of instances are being encouraged more and more. But I can confidently say that the Bharatiya Janata Party, our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, and our central government, we will ensure that people will get justice and the right to live in dignity and their constitutionally guaranteed rights to have property of every citizen will be protected.
Valid point there, Anil. Let me also rope in Mithun into this conversation. Mithun, how do you look at this? Is this a classic case of appeasement in Kerala? And we already know the classification as well as the setup of the kind of parties that rule Kerala at this point in time. Do you think it's also this characteristic that has allowed the Waqf Board to move into such a situation as an opportunity? Because as Anil also said, that this is not an isolated case.
Vineet, this is not just an issue pertaining to Kerala. It has been an issue for many years. And this has, the Waqf Board Act itself is a product of minority appeasement. And the Congress, in 2013, they even amended to make Waqf even more powerful than it is already. So the land encroachment issue, the land ownership issue, these are things that we always discuss whenever it is a matter concerning Waqf Board. Until today, there has been no solution to this, but I hope the Waqf Amendment Bill, it comes into action very soon, and there is some solution to the problems that people across the country are facing, including the 600 families in Kerala. And my heart goes out to those 600 families in Kerala. But see, Waqf Board, we have to look at the kind of ownership that Waqf Board is having. They are among the largest land owners in the country, Vineet. They have about 8.7 lakh properties with, which spans around 9.4 lakh acres, and it is valued at 1.2 lakh crores. This is like one of the largest land owners in the country itself. So, but the main problem is there's a substantial portion of the land remains unaccounted for. So there is no transparency that, Waqf Board can simply claim any land. And if you remember, according to Arvind Kejriwal, even Ambani's land is on a Waqf property. So if you look at, the cases of Karnataka, where about 29,000 acres of Waqf land was converted for, it was diverted for commercial uses as per, according to the whims and fancies of politicians, and those, those are associated with the board. So this kind of issue is there with the Waqf Board controlling properties, and the level of transparency that we are trying to achieve can never happen unless the Waqf Amendment Bill comes into picture. And the concept of Waqf Board that we're discussing, it's mostly on the communal lines. It's particularly for one community, right? It's not in a democratic setup. We can't have a system like this. Even countries, even Muslim majority countries don't have the concept of Waqf Board. Many countries, like many of the countries like Turkey, Egypt, Syria, Jordan, Iraq. I mean, many Muslim nations don't have the concept of Waqf. Why do we have a Waqf board is a bigger question. And see, many reports across the country have exposed the way in which Waqf is handling the properties. And it's high time that we do something about it. And, there are cases coming from Telangana, there are cases coming from Tamil Nadu, Kerala. Now, the Kerala incident is at least, making the headlines, but there are issues coming out on a daily basis. I personally remember I visited a person in Kochi. She's actually a Muslim woman, and she was one of the victims of Waqf, taking control of the land, and that belonged to her parents. So there are many people affected across religions. It's not specific to any particular community, or it's not a problem against a particular community. Waqf issue is being faced even by Muslims in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and across India. So it's a problem that is affecting the entire nation, and there has to be a solution to this. And I hope Waqf Amendment Bill is the only solution that we can expect at this point.
All right, Athar, why do you think the Waqf needs to exist? Why is it only catering to a particular community, is what Mithun also said? And do you think that what's happening in Kerala is unwarranted, unconstitutional, and not part of the secular fabric and vision that the founding fathers had for India? Then why should the Waqf Board exist?
Vineet, Waqf Board basically is the properties which people who legally owned or earned it devoted for some social and community welfare things. So the law of the land should prevail, and you see the SGPC and various huge trusts like Kashi Mandir Trust or other Puri Trust and Vaishnu Devi Trust, all the trusts are there. Accordingly, the Waqf Board and Waqf Board governance should be there. As per the Article 26 of the Constitution and subsection 13, that spirit should prevail. Basically, the lands and asset of Waqf Board should be audited, and it is well documented, and where there is no dispute, there should be a transparency auditing of the income which comes from the Waqf property and the accountability for that, and that revenue which is generated by the Waqf property should be used for the community, social and human development. If that is done in a proper spirit, it is nothing communal in it. It is the basic individual properties of the people which is there. And same is with SGPC. The same laws should be there for Waqf Board. The same laws which is there in the Kashi Trust, as well as Vaishnu Devi Trust, as well as other trusts. The Waqf Board should be governed on the same pattern as per the Constitution, Article 26 and subsection 13. That is what all. It is a very simple thing which is being politicized by both the all the political parties. It should be, it should be viewed on a human angle, and this properties, this asset, which has been donated on a spirit of, philanthropy and for the human development, should be done. I have seen myself how the Waqf property is being used by, exploited rather, and used for personal benefits, rather than being used for the poor, for the children, for education or for the health, which it is basically meant for. In this regard, the government should come out with some laws which make it more transparent and make the people who are managing these assets more accountable. Only that is required.
In fact, Mithun, there is data available, through RTIs and of course on popular media as well, that of all the properties that are owned by the Waqf Board, majority of them are not being leveraged to make money. Majority of them are not being used, to increase, the income for the Waqf Board. It is just being used for purposes which are non-commercial, which is of course also in a way underutilization, Mithun, and misuse of that property. Mithun? Mithun, are you there with us?
Vineet, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So,
Please go
Mithun, the contention also is that of all the property that is owned by the Waqf Board, majority of that is not being leveraged for commercial purposes. It's either lying vacant or is being used for madrasas or is being used for Islamic studies or XYZ reasons. Do you think that this also perhaps is underutilization and misuse of these properties, which could be leveraged by other parties in a more formidable manner, so to speak?
Yeah, Vineet, before coming to that, one of the arguments I heard on the panel was that the Waqf Board is being compared with temple trusts. See, the jurisdictional authority of a temple trust is confined to the temple itself or the temple surroundings. It's not like Waqf Board that is having unlimited powers. So a temple trust cannot be compared with Waqf Board. And utilization of Waqf properties, it is always, like you said, utilized for religious purposes. That's why I said Waqf is mostly catering to the prospects of one particular religion. And when I say that, Waqf actually operates on a communal basis, catering exclusively to one religious community, while its funding and the powers are often influenced by political interests. And this actually raises a major concern in a country like ours, where the public resources are diverted for religious favoritism, potentially violating the secular principles enshrined in our constitution. And such practices create divisions in the society by prioritizing the needs of one particular community, and that's what you see with the Waqf Board. And I'm not saying that it's not utilized for commercial purposes. It's illegally utilized for commercial purposes, and that's one of the issues that Kiran Rijiju had pointed out. Around, like I mentioned earlier, 29,000 acres of land in Karnataka was used for commercial purposes based on the interests of politicians and those involved in Waqf. But it was not through illegal channels. That was one of the issues. So, although being utilized for commercial purposes, that is utilized primarily through illegal channels, is what I understand. And because of Waqf Board, there are plenty of issues where there is hindrance to developmental projects by the government, including metro lines, highways, and this has to be addressed immediately, because we have been dealing with this for a long time now. And the Waqf is mostly like a parallel governance model, and it has its own rules and mechanisms. If tomorrow the Waqf, like Anil Antony pointed out, tomorrow the Waqf comes and lays its claim on a property, it is on the owner of the land to prove that it belongs to him. The Waqf Board doesn't have to do anything. There is no the burden is not on the Waqf Board. So ultimately, that kind of a law, which is not acceptable in a secular society like ours, should be it has to be dealt with. I mean, this issue of Waqf should be taken into consideration, and the amendment bill has to come into picture very soon. The issue of people in Kerala is only one of the examples. There are plenty of people who are suffering because of Waqf. And this, the kind of autonomy that Waqf is having, that's actually creating social chaos in the country. And I don't think it's solving any of the issues, because like you said, the land utilization is not in a very proper direction. There is no transparency. I don't see, Waqf land being utilized for any positive things. Even there is issue, the Eidgah Maidan, if you have seen, for the Diwali celebrations, they had an issue. So it's not like the land utilization is done in a secular fashion. It is purely from religious point of view, and the concept of Waqf doesn't exist in many of the Muslim countries itself. So why are we pushing for it? Why is that a particular political system in the country is supporting Waqf? They wanted Waqf. The Waqf 1995 Act, the 2013 Amendment Act. So why are we giving such unlimited powers to Waqf Board in a country that we often claim is secular? And especially the people who want secularism, or the people who kind of, promote, project secularism as one of their arguments in all the political debates and arguments. They want things like, Waqf Board. They want things like the Sharia or triple talaq laws. I mean, that's hypocrisy at its best. So, Waqf Amendment Bill is a need for this country at this time, and it is for all the communities, not necessarily, to save certain communities from Waqf Board, but across communities it is going to benefit, because there are Muslims who are suffering because of the Waqf Board, and there are plenty of cases, especially in Kerala itself. I can maybe have a detailed discussion on this later, Vineet.
Right, and Mithun, just last question before we let you go, and a quick response to that. Do you think that since the Waqf and its tribunals, they are tied so closely with the Muslim law, the Waqf bill, at a central level, is that very much important now?
See, it is important, Vineet, because the discourse is not about religion. It's about, ensuring transparency, accountability, and fairness to all the citizens of India. You see, the people who are suffering, the government has a certain promise of protection towards them. They have elected a government with the hope that the government will protect them. Tomorrow, any parallel government system like Waqf can't just come and, take over their property. No institution, be it Waqf or anybody, no institution, religious or otherwise, should possess powers beyond constitutional scrutiny. And that's the whole discussion, Vineet.
All right, Mithun, appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for those insights and those valuable perspectives. We take a short break on that note. Be right back.